Drake and Gip arrived at Kekla at just past 2300 hours that night. They had parked the truck in the prearranged spot and walked from there. The citadel looked just as it had the previous night. Apparently, their claymores had not been discovered. Gip waited until the first gap in the guard rotation, and then he scrambled down and cut the phone line. Gip took position off the southwest corner. Drake chose a spot just east of the southeast corner, giving him a clear line of fire into the southern and eastern sides of the compound. When the outer perimeter guard rounded the corner, Drake jumped from behind a rock and thrust a bayonet at an upward angle just below the guard's right shoulder blade. This technique punctured the diaphragm, rendering the victim instantly mute. The actual cause of death was internal hemorrhaging of the liver and spleen, taking 5 to 7 minutes, so he was taught. Drake had no idea whether the death was painful or not, and didn't particularly care. The objective was instant silence. The guard was not human, just a mission parameter. Gip established his position. When the first inner perimeter guard rounded the southwest corner, Gip placed one shot in the center of the man's forehead. He went down with a gentle thump. So far, so good, Gip thought. 1 down, 20-some to go. 6 excruciating minutes passed before the second guard found the body. As he lifted his radio to sound the alarm, his head exploded into a fine mist with the impact of the 7.62mm jacketed round. Gip had an uncomfortable feeling that this was too easy. He would get confirmation soon enough, one way or the other. There were still 4 guards patrolling the inner perimeter. They all appeared at once. Shit, Gip thought, it's begun. He popped the one on the far right in the solar plexus. Rich organ blood spurted from the wound as he was thrown back against the stone wall. The remaining 3 took cover and began pelting the rock formations to the south with their AK-47s. Gip lay on his back, surprised at how accurate they were. As planned, he rolled 10 meters east and waited for Drake to fire. The idea was to spread the enemy out, making them believe they were surrounded. From the east ridge, Drake squeezed off a round, instantly killing one of the guards with a shot below the left armpit, the same area one targets for a deer. As another guard turned to return fire, Gip shot him in the temple, removing most of his forehead. Crossfire was working as planned so far, but that trick wouldn't last for long. With bullets ricocheting all around him, Gip rolled another 10 meters east. During that time, 6 more guards came scrambling out the southern entrance and took immediate cover. The man in charge, realizing they were being flanked, sent a contingent to the east side. By the time they got there, Drake had low-crawled to the south. He flanked them again, this time hitting the leader between the shoulder blades as he shouted orders in Arabic. His body jerked as the 3-round burst of tumbling jacketed lead ripped effortlessly through bone and organs. By this time, Gip was in position to the southwest and shot another guard in the back of the head. As Drake and Gip had hoped, these were not professionally trained soldiers. This became obvious when the stick-and-move diversion tactics repeatedly fooled them. Tardis's men began firing wildly to the south and east, their AK-47s on full auto. Sand and rock fragments flew harmlessly into the air. The shots echoed off the citadel and rock formations with a staccato effect deafening to anyone near the structure. Drake and Gip remained face down in the sand as their enemies wasted ammunition. As far as they knew, neither of them had been spotted yet. After one more shuffle, Drake and Gip were within sight of each other. Gip raised his left fist and made a pumping motion. This was the signal for the claymores. Drake jerked his hand across his throat, signaling no. They had to draw guards to the windows before setting off the claymores. Drake peeked above the ridge. Tardis's men were getting smarter. They realized they were being attacked from the southern and eastern flanks and were laying heavy corner fire in both directions. Drake hit the sand and low-crawled toward the northern entrance. Gip was no longer able to aim his shots, but that did not matter at this point. He held his weapon above the rocks and fired blindly for a few seconds, then immediately rolled to a new position. They had reduced Tardis's forces by about 1/3 in the first few moments of the battle. Now, with the element of surprise gone, the focus was to draw men to the windows by creating the illusion that Kekla was surrounded. "What is happening?" Tardis demanded, kicking the kitchen chair across the room. His silk pajamas were already showing sweat stains. He glared at his head of security, Shahid, who stood stiffly in the archway to the enormous kitchen. "Tardis, we're under attack," Shahid said. "I estimate at least 20 men, heavily armed infantry. They've already killed at least 6 of my men. The phone lines are dead, and we have no men in radio range. If we don't stop them soon, they will surely blow the doors."